Master Duel sucks. I don't know how else to put it. And this is not about the UI or anything, like, that part's great. Even the monetization, I think, is fine. And I'm also not talking about the fact that we don't really have any other play modes other than ranked. Like, the digital environment gives you so much opportunities to do like fun, interesting and creative stuff, but they don't. Like, solo modes still, while I like the idea, they're just bad. Like, there is no challenge whatsoever in them, and the story part oftentimes I feel like feels too shallow to be really engaging and to make up for that yeah, bad gameplay. But it's not like I'm expecting much here. Like, we don't even have retro formats, and those would be easy to implement. Like, the ban lists, the card pools, they're already there. You just have to put them in the game, make a queue for it, and then maybe make a pack with just all the relevant or even all the legal cards for that specific format, and people will just give you money. And if you're afraid of cannibalizing your main format, first of all, there are a lot of people that are interested in retro formats that are just not interested in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just not their cup of tea. But maybe you should just make your format good. And especially if you do that, bringing in the retro formats could actually provide you with a good pipeline of onboarding new players. Because if you've never played Yu-Gi-Oh!, just learning the absolute basics from Master Duel and maybe solo mode, and then jumping into a game that advanced by like 15 or 20 years from everything you've learned, is just really frustrating. And I don't think it's an ideal solution to be like, yeah, you learn this, go play Goat, want to know about Synchros, then go play Edison, then like, I don't know, hat format or something, and then go into, I don't know, the Arc-V formats are kind of mid, at least the ones with actual pendulum decks, not like Clifford or something. Maybe, I don't know, Monarch or Invasion formats could work. Not sure here. And then for Link we can have Toss, and then you're ready to go get into Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something like that. I don't think that's ideal, especially considering that people will have to spend money for that, but it would be something to fill the gap, at least an attempt, right? And if your main format is good, like, that would be a reason to get into it. But most of the time, honestly, it's just not. And personally, I'd prefer it if they just gave us the option to play TCG best of 3, OCG best of 3, be done with it. Like, that's the optimal part for me, because as a TCG player, I'm sitting here like playing a format for 6 months, and even if it's a good format, I'm like ready. I'm glad that there may be like a breath of fresh air, some shake up to the metagame. And then Master Duel's there. Yeah. How about you jump into just the same format, but worse? Isn't that enticing? No, it's not at all, right? It's not. I don't even think it's bad to like offer an own format, particularly for best of one. Like, if you want to offer the best of one experience for people that are not ready to like jump into the super competitive side of things, maybe don't have that much time on their hands, just want to get in a quick one game streak, that's completely fine. But then adapt your format to that. Like, make sure that in a best of one, at least most games of these end up in a end up playing, that you don't get like an insane amount of non-games. But instead, the Master Duel ban list is probably the one that's the worst adapted to best of one. The worst. Like, they could just implement TCG ban list and it would be so much better. And on top of that, they just butcher formats oftentimes. Like with Snake Eye, like none of the three formats really handled it particularly well, I think. You could see that the TCG tried with like banning the generic endboard pieces and then hitting Lacrima very early on. They definitely tried, but Snake Eyes was just a mistake. Like, there was an interesting deck underneath it, but it should have locked you into something, at least 100%. So, not to fault Master Duel there. But then once Snake Eye format kind of ended and Malice and Ryzeal came out, the TCG actually became quite enjoyable. Like, yeah, Malice is pretty annoying because it's so difficult to target, and Ryzeal Detonator is very oppressive to certain decks, but it was a fine format, and particularly in contrast to Snake Eye, right before, it felt great. And what does Master Duel do? They release Malice with basically full support. They even still have all the generic endboard pieces like Appaloosa around. They have all the link climbing stuff in Link Decoder and things like that. And Malice even releases with almost everything they could have. And then they release Ryzeal and pre-hit it. The only deck that could reasonably keep up in any way with Malice, they pre-hit that instead of Malice. And don't get me wrong, Ryzeal, like I said, Detonator is still a very oppressive card, but Ryzeal, especially going second, lets you play the game more. Well, that's before Star Ryzeal released. Once Star Ryzeal released, especially without hitting a lot of the cards, like X to 2 doesn't make that much of a difference, then it becomes a lot less interactive. Like, it just stops the obvious choke point. And, oh, wait, it doesn't even make, like, the Detonator that at least there are ways to play into it. No, it just makes the absolute most cringe board imaginable of Baguska plus Starleech. And it says, well, it's best of one, might as well try to cheese my opponent, and with Malice running around, they probably don't have the deck space to, like, answer this consistently. So, let's see. And then on top of all that, on keeping all the blowouts around, they even give Malice even more support. They buff Malice even more. And don't get me wrong, Malice would have been an issue for Master Duel to begin with. Why? Because it's so hard to target. The only reliable way to target is like Landseer, Chaos Hunter and this stuff. But in a best of one format, when you're not guaranteed to face Malice, playing these cards that are useless in most matchups just feels terrible. It just feels terrible. Malice should have come out quite severely pre-hit. Like, most of the Cybers extenders should have been banned to make sure that this deck is like at least somewhat hand-trappable or things like that. Something. Like, you shouldn't have released the Ad Ignister cards before actually hitting the deck. It just makes for such a frustrating experience, because at the World Championship, like, this deck won 80% of the time going first before getting the Ad Ignister cards. Yes, Landseer with the shared card pool was a little bit less common, but let's be honest here. That's kind of a bad argument. Like, putting Lancia into your deck feels bad anyways. It got to the point where multiple teams considered sharing Malice cards to play Malice multiple times. That's how much better it is than everything else. And if we're looking at the tier list, that reflects it. Ryzeal is the only thing that can keep up. And why? Because it makes also a super ignorant board, is very, very consistent, and it's already playing 7th Tachyon. It can just search Lancia, which a lot of other decks can't afford to do. And like, it's not like that this is a new thing. Like, in the OCG there's a little bit more point to keeping Maxi around, but in Master Duel for the best of one, it makes no sense. Like, how large of a percentage of games will be decided by the Maxi minigame, whether you have it and your opponent has an answer or not? It's crazy. Any card that is like 95% represented and more, it's unfathomable. And yes, of course, Ash Blossom, even in the TCG, is very highly represented, but it's not this high, especially not main deck. And Lancia, a card specifically, if we look at all the decks here, it basically only hits Malice for the most part. It's in over half of decks. That's ridiculous. And like, again, the generic endboard pieces, Apollosa still being legal, Baron even still being legal, even though right now it's not that common because Malice doesn't make it. It's just crazy. Like, how is it possible that you do not think about adapting your format to the way you want people to play? If you want people to play best of one, that's fine, but make it so that games happen. Man, I just can't. I would love to enjoy Master Duel, but like, there's just no way. Like, every single thing that I could imagine in terms of making the format, in terms of the timing of the releases, they make everything almost the worst way possible. It's crazy that they're managing to do that, because the only reasonable explanation I have is that they have no idea what they're doing. But clearly you have to have some idea what should happen to always make the worst possible decision. Yeah. So that's my little rant about the topic. I really have no faith in the Master Duel designers to make a decent format, to make a decent ban list even, so that I hope that they just give us TCG at this point. I feel like, in my opinion, just adopting the TCG ban list or even the OCG ban list, like, that would at least be an improvement even, which is crazy. Like, I'm not that fond of the TCG ban list, so yeah. Down here another card. Like, I could go on and on and on. Like, we still have Banshee into Protoss or Ryzeal. We also released the heraldic stuff so that Ryzeal can just hand loop you. Wow, fun and interactive, really having a good time. Can we just try to make actual games happen? Or are we too focused on like making the anime girl archetype good, so good that people can play it with one hand without paying attention? I don't know if we're peddling to like all the gooners out there. I really want to play and enjoy Master Duel, but it's sad. It's just sad.